Hi and welcome to Keep On Moving, the New Zealand Trucking Media podcast series. This is episode 1 on the 25th of March 2020, somewhat of an auspicious date. I'm Dave McCoid, editor of New Zealand Trucking Magazine, and with me is my business partner, Matthew Smith.
Hi everyone and welcome to the show.
The origins of the podcast idea actually go back to our late dear business partner John Murphy, who was always keen for us to get a podcast going, and everyone was too shy to get started, but our good friend COVID-19 has put us in a position where the podcast makes the perfect sense.
And what a time we're in, Dave. What are we thinking about covering today?
Well, obviously the only subject in town is the microbe, and that's come to visit the world, and so we're going to be talking to a truck driver in the field today who's actually out there at level 3 status, which we are still at today until 11:59pm tonight. And then we'll be getting some reaction from Road Transport Forum CEO Nick Leggett.
Well, Dave, in this odd time, the one good thing we're getting is faster traffic movement.
Yeah.
The trip I took today from Whangaparaoa through the Thames, normally a 3-hour to 4-hour commute on a weekday, was a 2-hour trip.
I have to say that my commute into the office is normally 12 minutes, and today it was 12 minutes. So the advantages of living in Thames. Obviously, as time goes on, there'll be all sorts of content that we have in the podcast, and it'll be entertaining as well as informative. And I think it's important we keep it as normal as we can. So even in this time, there'll be a good dose of entertaining sort of content. Going back to the subject of the day, and obviously the COVID-19 virus and the impositions that it's put upon us, and the level 3 and 4 restrictions and what those actually mean, and where do we get the best information from. And our advice is, and will always be, use official sources, the key one being the government one, covid19.govt.nz.
Absolutely imperative we use the official channels to make sure that the information you're getting is factual and will keep you well informed. These sites are updated regularly with information not only pertaining to all of New Zealand, but specialist information on transport as well.
So we're talking now to John Baillie from Baillie, owner and proprietor of Baillie Transport Limited, and John is obviously a transport operator and a truck driver himself. And he's experienced one of the most remarkable weeks in our history from a truck driver's point of view on the road. And so what's it look like, John, from inside the windscreen looking out as a truck driver?
Oh, it's been, we were involved with the supply chain, food distribution to the supermarkets, and it's just volumes like we've never experienced in the sort of 9 years I've been involved on this side of things. It's been a huge week with shoppers sort of literally stripping a lot of products out of the supermarket shelves, which has put the supply chain under huge amount of pressure to get the product back out there. But the volume is simply, it's been a struggle to cope.
What sort of volumes What sort of volumes, John? Like if you would compare that to say like Christmas week, which is normally the big shopping week, would that those volumes be greater than those weeks?
Yes, it has. It's actually we had one of the busiest week in our history. Last Christmas was sort of on I think one day the Christmas week there the carton count the pick for the day was 72,000. Yet last Friday we experienced it was 100. I think just 100 to 107,000 was the carton count, the pick for the day. So just a massive spike in volume. But we saw that after just with the various announcements from the government, it had quite an impact on people's sort of buying habits.
Yeah, amazing. And what about from the point of view of the actual out on the road? Is there been what's traffic look like through the? Has it been waning, or has it been normal, or how's that looked?
Oh, traffic's sort of been normal, quite busy on certain days, just depending on where we've been. Obviously, the supermarkets and around those areas, heavily congested with cars. It's been quite a problem actually getting the vehicles onto site to get unloaded in some instances. But we've seen a bit of a taper off today in terms of the public seem to be getting their heads around the fact that the shops and the essential services are actually open, and some of the panic buying starting to taper off a wee bit. Excellent.
Cool. And John, from a perspective of, I guess, a truck driver yourself, and as well as a company operator, it's vitally important to the country that transport remains healthy and able to be the bloodline of the nation that it will continue to be. How are you as a driver keeping safe, and advice to your workers and things like that?
Yeah, we've sort of taken a few precautions. The company we contract to, they've implemented a lot of procedures or precautionary measures and sort of daily contact into what we should be doing in terms of sort of staying safe and just keeping our drivers healthy and at work. Obviously, the hand sanitizer is a big thing, but it's just little things we're all doing as drivers. You arrive somewhere and there's a queue, instead of sort of getting out and giving the guy in front of you a hand, or having a bit of a yarn or helping with the curtains and that, we just stay in the cab, so the less contact, the better. Hand sanitising, just in and out in between procedures, and things like just wearing gloves. Say, walk into a distribution centre to get instructions, paperwork or whatever, we're wearing gloves for the handrails, stairways, anything you touch inside the DC. We just make sure we've got gloves on. We generally use your gloves for loading and unloading. All it's just those small precautionary measures.
Yeah.
Obviously the sneeze into the elbow and all that sort of thing, but just avoid contact if you can get instructions over the phone. We prefer to use the phone instead of sort of verbal contact over a counter, and just things like that, trying to sort of keep away from everything.
No, amazing. Fascinating times. Hey, look, well, thanks so much for your time, taking a few minutes out to talk to us, and great stuff, and there's no need for us to thank you on behalf of the nation, because we know it's up to the nation to thank you guys on behalf of the nation, so we'll let you get on with it.
Yeah, no, it's quite it's been a busy week, but it has been a great week just from the road transport perspective. Just sort of puts it, we have been getting a lot of compliments in terms of from the various suppliers, and the fact that keeping things moving in sort of troubled times we've never really experienced, and we've been able to sort of, without too much disruption, keep things going. So it's been quite a good thing for the industry as a whole, and from a public perception, it's been a good thing.
Awesome. Great stuff.
As a toilet paper user and a big eater, John, thanks again.
Awesome. Okay, mate. Thanks so much.
Yep. Thanks, Dave.
Bye.
Bye.
And on the phone now, we've got the CEO of the Road Transport Forum, Nick Leggett. Nick, have you got an update for the listeners on just the current situation, basically, and where everything's at?
Yeah, look, thanks, Dave. There was a state of national emergency declared at 12:21 this afternoon, and I think that all road transport operators need to be mindful of the fact that the government will outline how the country is operating, and will continue to get that information, but it might change at any time. It's clearly not business as usual, but obviously some trucking operators will have experienced similar disruptions and work through them, both with the Canterbury earthquake and other national and state emergencies. But like at that time, they can only declare a state of national emergency for 7 days at a time, but they can continue to extend it for months on end. I think it's really important. There have been some messages out there saying, hey, relax, don't worry. Look, if people are not involved in an essential industry, they've got to stay at home. And for those businesses, who I know are resilient and are used to picking up and responding to need at the drop of a hat, they know what to do. But I think there are ways of, perhaps them keeping themselves safe at times like this, and, we should have a chat about that.
Yeah, so what advice would you have for truck drivers in keeping safe? Is that where would you direct them to go in the event that they were looking for information, maybe, or anything like that?
Yeah, I think for both employers and for drivers themselves, it's really important that they're mindful at this time. We've got all this talk about social distancing, keeping 2 metres away. It is really important that we understand what that looks like. And what I would say to you is, go any source, online. Go to a government source. Don't sort of pick up stuff on social media and think that you're listening to the right kind of information. It's really important that everything you get is sourced from government. We've got on the RTF website, which is rtf.co.nz. That's rtf.co.nz. We've got a whole repository of information there on things like the sort of links to government websites that will be of use to operators, but also some information about keeping your truck cab clean. What we know is that that's going to be really important, and we've sourced some information from the United States on that. This is the time to start making sure that all the surfaces that you're working around are clean, that you've got the right kind of hygiene, that you're keeping yourself distant from people where you're dropping goods off, and that employers really understand that fatigue and stress and anxiety at these times, even if it's not felt by their workers themselves, there will probably be people in their lives that are not as happy to have them being away from home overnight. So really checking in and asking those people around you, those people you're working with. I do it on Zoom every morning with our team at the RTF. How are people going? There are people who have got work and income stresses and family members, and often, as we know, living cheek upon jowl with your family 24/7. That's going to be a challenge. We've just got to be really mindful of it and just check in with people.
Yeah, great information. And Matt and I said at the outset of the podcast that directing people directly to government websites for the source of information. So that's fantastic reinforcement to that. Thanks, Nick. Nick, one of the questions I've sort of got there, you may or may not be able to help us on, and we can inquire and investigate it in the days to come as well. Through our association with the International Truck of the Year as an associate member, in France there's been a terrible issue with truck drivers applying essential services and keeping lifelines open for families and business, yet their own facilities for want of a better term, without trying to be too theatrical, survival, just simple things like toileting facilities and that sort of thing have been all shut, and there's been reports of French truck drivers toileting on the side of the road beside their truck and real horrible things like that. Have you been able to lobby or discuss, or that essential sort of services like that remain open for truckies?
Yeah, we're in the middle of that now, actually, and I'm pleased you've raised it. I think it's really important that if you think about things like hot food that, a month ago you could easily get, in any number of places along your journey, along your route, most of, if not all of those places are now going to be closed. So thinking about taking food and plenty of water with you at the start of the journey, I think is going to be really, really important for truck drivers. I think the toileting facilities, when you actually go and you drop off your load, using facilities there, asking to use the facilities there is going to be important. We're aware. We've heard that public toilets are going to be closed, and what we're trying to do is reinforce the need to the government, who can override all local government powers, as of the legislation being passed today, that they actually keep those open, because they're a lifeline for our drivers. And it's really important, from a health and safety perspective, that people aren't going to the toilet on the side of the road. I mean, that's not what New Zealand needs to come to at a time like this. We've got to look after the people that are providing those essential lifelines, as you say, Dave, and keeping these facilities open, or at least some of them open, and then providing the information about where people can access public toilets is going to be vital. And we'll be talking to the government about this. It's something that might take a bit of time, so people are going to have to be patient, but we've certainly got it as a key issue that we're dealing with.
Yeah, excellent. Thanks, Nick. Hey, look, thanks very much for your time. We're on the eve of a midnight hour, the likes of which not many of us have ever and will ever seen in our life. You'll obviously be an incredibly busy man. Thank you so much for your time, and we hope to talk to you in the next few podcasts on various other subjects.
Well, thank you for all you're doing, Dave, and keeping people aware and connected. It's vital at a time like this, as you say.
Awesome.
It's a time like no other, so we've got to pull together.
Okay, take care and keep your distance.
Thanks.
Great hearing from both John and Nick and the different perspectives and obviously the challenges that we're all facing as a transport community.
Yeah, that's right, Matt. And I think the thing to remember, we're all in this. The whole globe really is in this predicament together. You know, there's no right, there's no sort of wrong, and everyone's facing challenges in their respective parts of the world, business and community, the likes of which they've never faced before. But one thing stands out again all over the world, I might say, with the information we get out of Europe, etc., is that truck driving, which is a job where individuals put the needs of others over the needs of themselves all of the time, is at the absolute pointy end of beating this thing.
So our privilege over the next coming weeks and years is to bring you those stories.
Yeah, that's right. And so that's our first ever episode.
Fantastic. I've really enjoyed it. We've learned a lot putting this together. So hopefully all the crinkles get ironed out, and we'll look forward to joining you on the next episode.
Absolutely. Thanks for being with us, and stay tuned.
Keep safe out there, team.